Well, San Francisco absolutely whipped the Eagles on Sunday, and boy, did they rub it in after the game. This really felt like two teams that absolutely despise each other, and tempers would flare multiple times, so much that Jalen Carter was visibly crying on the Eagles sidelines, and Eagles security guard Big Dom was also ejected. I had the latest update on the concussion that knocked Jalen Hurts out of the game temporarily, and you gotta hear what Nick Sirianni had to say about the Eagles' horrific defensive performance. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. All right, well, we knew the 49ers were a great football team coming in, but it's not like the worst case scenario happened yesterday, right? It's not like the Eagles offense dominated early but failed to convert in the red zone and establish a run, right? I mean, at least the Eagles defense didn't get absolutely gashed and destroyed by Brock Purdy and, yes, Deebo Samuel after all that trash talk, right? Surely Big Dom, the legendary security guard, wouldn't get ejected and probably fined out of his socks, right? Okay, I bet at least the Eagles would have some fair calls by the refs for the majority of the game, right? And there's no way the Eagles are one loss away from being tied with the Cowboys for the NFC East lead, right? No, it couldn't have been that bad. Philadelphia was going to show up for this game. This was a massive battle in the NFC, right? Well, things got off to a good start before the game, with Birds fans fired up to teach the whiners a lesson after they desecrated the Rocky statue on Rocky Day and basically trash-talked and cried the entire month leading up to this game. San Francisco, though, would arrive wearing all black to what we hope would be their own funeral, but then proceed to also get in the way of the Eagles during pregame drills and even start a verbal altercation with Nick Sirianni pregame. Clearly, the Niners meant business, and at first, to start the game, Philadelphia responded as Jalen hit AJ on this huge slant on third down, and then a few plays later found Kenny G for another deep conversion inside the Niner red zone. But really, the tail of this first quarter would be the failed third downs inside the red zone, and the Birds would be forced to kick a field goal on their opening drive. The red zone was a serious issue all day long, and Nick Sirianni, he was asked about it and answered the question during his postgame press conference.
You know, we just, you know, in the red zone, we kind of had some red zone woes right there that we've done much better job of, and then it's just, you know, today they stopped us in the red zone, kind of got behind the sticks on one of them and got into a third and really long on one. You know, I'll have to watch the tape exactly, see what happened there, but you know, that was tough on us to you know, start the game fast and only be up 6-0.
Hurts would echo the same sentiments when he met with the media, seemingly very disappointed and upset with the fact that Philadelphia couldn't do anything inside the red zone early on.
Good execution for the most part, and we just kind of weren't able to connect and execute like we wanted to in the red zone. And you know, when you're playing a good team like that, that gets you. You know, every little thing matters. So. Much credit to them in the way that they played today and how they executed. You know, I think for us, we just have to do a better job of controlling the things we can and playing cleaner.
Now, speaking of doing something early on, the Eagles defense would do just that. They'd come flying out of the box with a quick Reddick sack of Purdy and then a stop on third down and 12. And Hurts would come right back to AJ for another big gain, but then after a brutal Hurts sack that just didn't need to happen, Philly could do nothing on third down and 21, and the Birds were forced to kick their second straight field goal after driving inside the Niner red zone. Then suddenly the Niners would start to figure things out. They marched right down the field with the help of this wide open George Kittle pass, but then on third down and goal, Josh Sweat was somehow called for offsides here? What? Giving the Niners another play where Purdy would convert to Ayuk for the game's first touchdown. And yes, I thought it was close here, but that ball did move, but his hand was under it. I think it was probably a catch and probably a touchdown. Philly's offense would then struggle, although we got to give credit to Skinny Batman, who had a great night, including this third down and 19 conversion. But then on third down and 8, despite the incredible protection Hurts got most of the night, including Lane Johnson absolutely dominating Nick Bosa the entire game, no one was open down the field, and the Birds would punt yet again. Brock Purdy would then march right down the field, and it was clear by this point the game plan was to attack the Eagles linebackers, and boy, did Christian Ellis and Nicholas Morrow look absolutely horrible. If there was ever a game that showed the Birds' absolute necessity to go out and sign Shaq Leonard, hopefully at some point today, this was the game to do it. Maybe by the time you're watching this late tonight, or maybe even Tuesday morning, it's already happened. He's gone to the Cowboys, or he's gone to the Philadelphia Eagles. Either way, Philadelphia's got to figure out the linebacker spot, depending on when Zach Cunningham comes back, because Philadelphia's linebackers yesterday, they got absolutely exposed. McCaffrey would score yet again, give the Niners a bigger lead, and it was clear at this point the defense was in serious trouble and decided to make some changes. The Eagle offense would likewise struggle as well, and they would punt just like that, and the Niners were back in the Eagles' red zone with just a couple of plays, where Deebo would get his first of many revenge plays against the Birds with this touchdown score. For what it's worth, Deebo Samuel talked a lot of trash, but he did back it up. Credit to him for playing really well and basically making this his Super Bowl and showing up, although I'll side with Fletcher Cox after the game, though, when it comes to trash talking.
I don't get into into none of that, man. I'm grown. I'm an adult. I'm a pro. I don't get into the whole trash talk deal. I'm here to play football. I'm here to do that. I've been doing it for 12 years, and I've been doing it the right way, all right?
Hurts and the Eagles would finally respond, marching the ball back into Niner territory, but then all hell would break loose as this cheap shot tackle by Dre Greenlaw sent the Eagles bench into a frenzy. Words were exchanged between Sirianni, the Eagles security guard Big Dom, and Dre Greenlaw, and then Dre Greenlaw actually struck Dom in the face right here. Greenlaw would then get ejected, but so would Dom. Although the Link loved it so much, they gave Dom a standing ovation as he was escorted off of the field for his disorderly conduct. I'm going to take the unpopular opinion here, but when you actually review the footage, Dom was kind of in the wrong. He possibly instigated this, although technically Greenlaw started the whole thing by suplexing Devontae Smith. But Greenlaw did get ejected as well, and that was for the right reason. You can't strike an opposing team's coach, but no team's coaches or even staff members should be getting in a player's face during the game, regardless of what happens on the football field. I get Dom trying to defend his people, and that's fine, but do it with verbal words. Don't do it with physical touching of an opposing player. Although after all this, I think Dom earned a lot of respect from the players, but now apparently the NFL is going to make an example out of him, as one NFL exec predicted the Eagles head of security Dom DeCidaro is expected to receive a significant punishment, and so will the team, one high-level NFL exec predicted. Niners coach Kyle Shanahan was irate during this entire altercation. He spoke about what he saw after the game.
Yeah, once I didn't get to see it all from where I'm at, but when I start hearing people explain it to me and stuff, and I just can't believe someone not involved in a football game can taunt our players like that and put their hands in our guys' face. And from what I was told, Dre did it back to him, and I was told that he kind of mashed him in the face a little bit, so he got ejected. But it was a very frustrating play. I got to watch it to have a true opinion on it, but I loved how we rallied after it.
Now, despite all of this, Dom was in the tunnel post-game, and he could be heard telling A.J. Brown, quote, "You know we'll get them back." And honestly, this completes his hero arc. I mean, we already love Big Dom in Philadelphia, but the fact that he got Dre Greenlaw ejected, whether rightfully so or not, but then also waited in the tunnel, high-fived all the players, and told A.J. Brown, "You know we're going to get them back, right?" I bet the players surely will not only help Dom cover his impending fine, but also hopefully can make this a rallying cry for Philadelphia, as Dom is now going to be a major fan favorite, and hopefully Birds can back up his toughness with some toughness of their own against the Cowboys next week. Now, I thought for sure the Dom ejection would wake the Birds up, and it did for a moment as Hurts would connect with A.J. Brown, and then brotherly shove his way in for the score to get the Birds back within one. But Dom's ejection wouldn't help out the Eagles' defense, as Purdy would hit Deebo, and then 19 would do the rest. Although, let's give a shout out to the refs here for missing this blatant holding call on Reed Blankenship. I mean, come on, this has got to be caught. Now, the refs were terrible yesterday, but I'm not going to be one of those fans that goes on Twitter and says, if the refs had called the game fairly, Philadelphia would have won. Sure, the score might have been better, but the Philadelphia Eagles defense was getting whacked so bad yesterday, I don't think a couple of missed calls by the refs would have really changed the score that much. Now, before you freak out in the comment section, don't get me wrong. I mean, I saw the refs miss this clear pass interference deep ball on Quez Watkins, and this other very clear pass interference to A.J. Brown, and then, of course, this late hit of Jalen Hurts that they didn't call. But I just don't see Philadelphia winning this game had those three calls gone the Eagles' way. It was more so red zone execution, and the fact that defense couldn't stop anybody for 7 straight drives. I mean, here's a great example, right? They couldn't tackle Christian McCaffrey at all during the next drive or even slow down the receivers. I mean, look at Eli Ricks getting cooked by the Niners for the 5th straight touchdown drive of the day for San Francisco. Also, right after that score, during the extra point, Jalen Carter got a personal foul and then could be seen visibly very upset on the sideline, even to the point of tears. And while Niner fans would have their fun with this on Twitter, Carter would respond on Instagram, posting, "I'd rather cry for losing a game than cry that I'm still broke. Y'all get your life together." And honestly, that's some pretty darn good advice. Although to make things worse, Jalen Hurts would get on this play following the Niner touchdown and lead the game for multiple concussion tests. Thankfully, he would return, which honestly, I don't really understand why in such a lopsided score. But the fact that he returned was a good sign, and I think he's going to be just fine for Sunday's matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. When asked about it after the game, Hurts explained the concussion test, but also explained why he came back on the field despite being down multiple scores.
It was obviously an assessment in that moment, and everybody was doing their jobs and doing their roles, and I was able to come back when everybody felt like I was ready to. And about showing anybody anything, it was more so the game's not over. So, you know, just trying to keep fighting.
I guess you got to give credit to Hurts' toughness for coming back in, marching down the field, and completing another late score to Devontae Smith, but the offense needed some help, and while they weren't perfect and they had their issues, like not being able to establish the run or really be able to run the football at all, the defense gave them no breaks. They never got a stop, and it seemingly was the big difference in this football game. I mean, the problem all night on defense was echoed here on this final touchdown where Deebo got his hat trick. I mean, come on, where's the defense? Where's the tackling? It was absolutely terrible. For what it's worth, James Bradberry after the game said Philadelphia had some major defensive secondary issues.
I think they did a good job of, using motion to their advantage. Of course, as teams motion back and forth, they do jets and whatnot, especially pre and post snap. That kind of plays with the communication. And we just got to see everything the same way on the back end. There's a lot of things happening, and we didn't see things the same on the back end. I feel like that's what led to some of those busts.
That was the difference in this game. Philadelphia would not be able to stop them. They went right down the field every single drive, and the game was over with the Niners absolutely dominating and putting up a massive box score. And credit to them. They talked a big game. They backed it up, and guess what? When you back up your trash talk, you get to have some fun on the football field, mocking Eagle fans, pumping up your own crowd. Oh my gosh, I hate seeing this. Why did the Eagles make me have to actually watch them celebrate like this after the game? Oh, it just drives me nuts. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Philadelphia looked terrible yesterday, but I'm not going to come out here and say the season is officially over now that the Eagles are still the best record in the NFL and sitting here at 10-2. But this has got to be a wake-up call. Philadelphia's been playing with fire each of the last couple of weeks, whether it's slow starts, bad defensive plays, or getting fortunate on 59-yard field goals. Eventually, a team was going to take advantage of this, and San Francisco did just that. They had extra time off, they prepared very well, and they targeted the Eagles' biggest weaknesses on defense. My hope is, as kind of a glass-half-full Eagles fan, is that this is a wake-up call for Philadelphia. Remember, last year, they got 14-point loss against the Seattle Seahawks and yet still came back and rallied to go ahead and make it to a Super Bowl. I hope that this is the rallying cry, the real gut punch, the look in the mirror day where the Eagles refocus and go take it to the Cowboys on Sunday night. I mean, think about it. If you had told me Philadelphia would be 10-2 through 13 weeks of the NFL season, and they'd be 3-1 through the first 4 games of this 5-game absolute monster gauntlet stretch, we all would have taken it. It just feels extra worse today on a Monday morning after Philadelphia got absolutely obliterated by San Francisco. If the Birds win on Sunday night against the Cowboys, a tall task, but if they do, they still will be the number 1 seed in the NFC. They will most likely have locked up the NFC East by mid-December and will still have all the playoff games go through Philadelphia for another potential rematch with the 49ers. I'm curious your thoughts, though, as we get ready to end here. Are you panicking? Are you a glass half full, glass half empty? Are you worried about the defense, about the offense, about both? I'm going to read all the comments down below in the comment section. Give me your thoughts down below right now. Now, of course, if moves get made today, or they already have been moved, I probably would have already been live. My one promise to you guys is to give you the best coverage this week leading into the Cowboys game, but also being the first channel live every single time Philadelphia makes a move, if and when they make a move. So be sure to subscribe. We just got the 30,000 subs. Hit the notification bell. That way, when we go live, you're notified right there on your cell phone. It's the best way to go ahead and do it. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell for whatever happens later today. It's a brutal loss. It's a brutal Monday. We've only had to experience this twice so far this year, and it gets worse each and every time. Imagine being a team that loses a lot more games than just 2 this year. I hope the Eagles can center themselves and focus. I'm fascinated to see what the coaching staff has to say about this coming up for Tuesday's press conferences. We'll cover it all here. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.